All right, so go ahead and state your name and tell me your ride. What am I looking at?
Hi, my name is Alejandro Gonzalez, and I brought over my 1975 Toyota Celica. It's an RA22. It's still in the first gen Celica family of cars, and it's I've been the owner since 1985. It was my college car, and my first car. I bought it with a blown head gasket. Bought it for $500, and fixed the head gasket, and I've been working on it since.
Wow, so you've kept this since 1985. Hell, I wasn't even born yet. I was born in 88. So tell me, what was the car culture like back then? And especially with you picking up a Toyota, that wasn't as popular, the Japanese cars back then. Tell me about the past.
So when I first got this car, I saw it and I really liked the lines. It had a sporty look to it. In that time, and even in the 70s, the popular car back then were the Datsun 510s and the 240Zs. Toyotas were out there, but they didn't hit the American scene. And I think it was because of the racing heritage that Datsun had with the Brie Racing and the 510s and the 240Zs. They were out on the tracks here in the U.S., so they became very popular. Because I believe that the smaller engine that the Celica had, they didn't have the race performance engine here, but in Japan, they were really racing it at the same time. Now, when I got the car, I started solo autocrossing it through the SCCA up in the San Francisco region.
That's pretty cool.
So that kind of helped me build up that the car, suspension, engine, and it gave me a reason to do it because I was participating in racing events.
That's pretty cool. So you've actually taken this and try to explore its limits in a safe environment. That's pretty awesome. So what without telling me everything, what are some of the modifications you have done to it to kind of keep it going?
Well, it still has the original head that came with the car, which is a 20R head. The TRD Performance Handbook recommended combining that head with the 22R block from the later years, from 81 to 83, I believe it is. So that's what this engine is. It's the head's polished, ported, has Mikuni side draft carburetors, pace setter headers, long tube headers, straight exhaust all the way to the back to a super trap exhaust tip in the back.
Love it.
Suspension wise, it has lowered springs. I don't have coilovers yet. I'm gonna probably be getting that. So it's got KYB shocks down all the way around. The tires and wheels, the wheels are Krager Street Super Tricks 13 by 8s with the reverse offset. The tires are 215 5013s and hard to get with raised white letters, but I was able to find some, and so yeah. So that's kind of in a nutshell. There's all sorts of other stuff.
Oh yeah. No, that's plenty, and that's pretty cool. Now tell me, judging from cars 70s, 80s to kind of the modern stuff that we see now, what in your opinion has been the biggest difference or the biggest factor into the driving experience? Simply put, how has the driving experience of cars back in the day been compared to now?
Well, a lot of technology's gone into the newer cars, which is great. I do know that along with that came like ECUs for your fuel-injected intake systems. This one, like I said, is running on naturally aspirated carburetors.
Love it.
And so
it's all just
the tuning, and you got to listen to it, feel what the carburetors are doing as you're adjusting them. So in comparison, you got your ECU, you plug in your computer, and you can dial it in. I'm not taking anything away from that. Just that there is that separation of technology with just the human ear and the human touch of dialing in your engine.
Yeah.
Suspension-wise, I know that electronics also plays a part in some of the newer
now
cars.
the new stuff, yeah, that's right.
And so
sport mode, right?
Sport mode, right?
Lord.
So that goes. Most tuners trying to dial in their cars for suspension work. Again, do it all by hand. So
yeah, versus you exploring the limits, taking it to a safe environment, and kind of dialing it in from there. So that's very good. I'm glad you brought that up. What's some advice you can give some of these young guys that are starting their tuner builds and kind of building and growing from there? Because you'll see what I'm going to say in my last question. But what's some of the advice you can give some of these cats out here?
I've been doing it for a long time with this car. But I can remember just the enthusiasm. Don't lose it. Don't lose heart in reaching to that goal that you have. If you can imagine your car in a certain way, you can get it there. And it takes time. It's taken me a long time to get to this. Of course, if you are fortunate enough to have the money to do those kinds of modifications,
good on you, right? Yeah. But no,
by all means, do it. But just do it in a safe environment, as you've been mentioning. In a safe environment is always good. This Toyota Celica. Yeah. So
I think you bring up a good point, the patience that people need, right? Because especially with a little bit of my generation, I'm 34, but I still see it even in my kind of group where they want it now. And it's just like, that's not unfortunately how the world works unless you have money, and I work every single day. So that's just not feasible for the masses. Yeah. Final question. California is going to be transitioning to electrification in the next 15 to 20 years, right? Yes. And so that's why I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts about electric cars and kind of the future of the car culture? I would love to get your perspective considering you've had this for so long.
I just heard that on the news this week, and so I was like,
it popped up on my CNN and Fox News app. Right. So
so it took me caught me off guard, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what future generations are going to do in terms of modifying an electric car. I don't know what that's going to look like on the track. There's just something about these cars when you fire up that engine, it's not just the sound, it's the feel that the car makes. The handling, if you got that suspension going, going into a turn and stuff, I don't see that happening with the electric cars. Now, you got to be environmentally conscious. I believe in that. And so it's kind of hard for me to say, no, that's all wrong, but in the car culture, there's got to be some leeway for that because it's just ingrained in American culture. Muscle cars, and now generations of import tuner guys, they love that car. They love that sound. They love that feel. And I think hopefully our lawmakers will give some leeway to that,
we kind of don't know yet, but it's going to come down to the people we elect and the responsibility and care we do have in our car scene, for better or for worse. All the takeovers or all the things of that nature are hurting us, but we have to see. And again, I appreciate the fact that you mentioned, driving a car and that connection you can have with your heart, with your mind, with your body, with your spirit. And I think that these cars are getting just so capable. They're getting so capable that people are starting to lose that connection to driving. Why? Because they want to go on their phone. They want to do this. They want to do that. So I really appreciate your perspective. I'm just going to do a couple of walk around shots, but I thank you for your time. And I love this thing. All right.